right. Gotta dance it out a little bit, Richard.
Yeah.
There we go. Back to normal. Welcome, everybody, to today's podcast. It is number 53, and holy shit, do we got an interesting character on our podcast today.
Woo.
But before we do that, I'm going to introduce, or I'm going to let you know about our podcast sponsor, Bones and Marrow Broth Company. Refuel, restore, relax. Nutritious, delicious, local, slow-simmered sipping broth made from free-run chicken, grass-fed beef, organic veggies, herbs, and a whole lot of love. Order online, www.bonesandmarrowbroth.com. And also, before we get started, a little PSA announcement from one of our other sponsors, Mountain Bean. Starting June 1st, Mountain Bean will be open to sit inside as well as the patio, and they'll also be extending their hours until 9 p.m. The world is coming back, baby. It's coming back. Yeah, thank God. The man sitting over to my left, let me let you or advise you to who he is. Today's guest is a passionate and charismatic speaker who has dedicated his life to helping others realize their inner greatness. For many years, this man has let fear control the direction of his life because of things which happened in the past. Dyslexia, homelessness, and depression are just a few of the things he had to overcome. Finally, after a sickness struck and he thought he was coming to an end, he finally decided enough was enough. Not only did he fight his way back to health, he decided the rest of his life would be dedicated to helping others so they wouldn't have to go through the same thing. This father of two is a content creator on YouTube, Google, iHeartRadio, and iTunes, and also has a podcast called EOW, the podcast, Create Your Own Life. Everybody, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Richard Powell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You like that?
That was great. I like that.
All right, man. This is going to be straight fire, man. Do I have a lot of things to ask you, but I guess the first question I have is homelessness. Can you give us a story as to how you ended up from where you were to homeless? Just go to that part there.
That was a hell of a story.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a story. Well, and this, it's not that sort of typical story either. I was a business person. I had my own business.
Okay.
I was in London, England then, and I've only been there for 10 years. And we were running a business, and me and my business partner, well, I'll back it up a little bit.
Sure.
I was a solo entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I was just starting out. And the reason why I got into painting in the first place was because when I grew up, I was dyslexic, and I decided in my mind that there was nothing else that I could do. I couldn't do anything with the writing. I couldn't do anything with the reading because it was too embarrassing for me. I wasn't ready to take that leap and try and confront that stuff. So I was like,
dyslexia is where you read words backwards. Is that what it means, or?
Well, not really. I think that's a kind of misconception of it. It's just the way when you read, the way you compute in your mind, it doesn't stick, and so you're concentrating. For me, anyways. You're concentrating so hard on that next letter or that next word that you've forgotten everything. So you've read a whole page
and remember nothing.
If you're like, okay, so what did that page say? I don't know. I don't know. I remember the last word.
Yeah, I've got dyslexia too, for sure. I'll read something. I have no idea. As soon as you get to the bottom of the page, you're like, shit, what did I just read? Yeah.
The way you read that, there's no way you got dyslexia, my friend. Trust me. Yeah, I'm reading that, but hold on a minute. I have to memorize that stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you, anyways.
Yeah, no worries, man. So I decided to get into the painting business, and I've always been a hard-working guy. Always. Mm-hmm. So I started working, I got an apprenticeship, and then I went on my own, and then I started a business, and I was doing subcontracting, and it started to get really, really big.
Okay.
And so when you get big, obviously you've got to then, you're diving into the business world, you've got to start writing contracts,
right? And
you've got to start being more professional. That side of things scared me.
Okay.
It scared me because of my background of dyslexia and all of that.
Right. I see.
So my pivot was I'll go and get myself a business partner who can deal with all of that stuff.
Yep.
So I got a guy in.
Just talk a little closer to the mic.
I can hear you, but I don't. All right, there you go.
Yeah, I got a business partner in, and we started working, and we got this huge contract. Like, this is skipping out a big part, but I got a huge contract, and he was the paperwork side, I was the work side.
Okay.
So we priced this job. It was huge. It was like about 50 different apartments. We were painting outside this big factory building.
Okay.
And we started painting this place, and we priced it from the ground, no scaffolding up. So when we got up to the top, we didn't realize there was so much stuff that needed to be done that we couldn't see from the ground. And I said to my partner at the time, I was like, listen, we're going to have to renegotiate this price. This is going to take 3 times as long. He's like, yeah, no worries. I'll go and talk to the foreman. So he goes to talk to the foreman, and he comes back, and he's like, yeah, we've got an agreement. We got to send in the invoices at the end. I'm like, okay. So long story short, we get to the end of the job, and by the end of the job, by the way, we'd run out of money. I wasn't eating, and I was getting my employees to buy me dinner and stuff. We were working 14-hour days, and still, I wasn't eating properly. So I'd lost I'm probably 220 pounds right now. I was about 150 pounds.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And how tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
What was the length of the course of this job? I mean, painting an apartment building must have been weeks,
We're talking
months.
3 months.
3 months, yeah, okay.
And I would say the last month and a half, I wasn't. He actually had a rich girlfriend he was staying at, and he was fine.
So you guys decided to still do the job, even though you were losing money, but just to be a man of your word, you kept going?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think also the payday at the end.
You
guys
was the drive.
were expecting a payday at the end.
That was the drive.
So you weren't getting incremental payments as you did progress. It was just
we did get a couple of those.
Okay.
And then by the end, the thing is we were paying for all the products, right? So when we got those incremental, so we were getting those incremental payments, all of that was going to the products, like the paint, the patch, whatever, the wages, all of that. Yeah. And we were left with nothing at the end.
Okay.
Not even enough to eat. And not even enough to buy gas to get to the job. So when we were going to the job, this is hilarious. We'd drive up to the gas station, fill up, and I'd go through this whole routine of I've left my wallet at home. Oh my, what have I done? I'm so sorry. And this happened weekly. We Tuesday. And this is London. This isn't like little Winnipeg. This is London, 18 million people type thing. So you can go to a lot of different gas stations to pull this off. We would go back and pay.
Okay.
But we'd just have to sign this thing, giving our details and all of that, and then we'd come back a week later and pay off the bill. This was how we got to the job.
Really?
Right.
So you had to suck up your pride, because who wants to go in there and beg?
Man.
You know what I mean? You're basically begging for gas.
And you got to understand the mindset at that point as well. When you've not been eating and everything's going wrong, and we're fighting as well at that time because, stress levels are high. Inside, you're already breaking. You're already going down. And I was drinking heavy. I was drinking so heavy just to sort of forget about where I was at and what was going on. And obviously that doesn't help. Actually, a depressant, right? So
for sure,
it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So I'd wake up every day with a hangover and drive. And then there's this thing.
So no food, just alcohol.
That's right.
Lack of sleep.
That's right.
High stress.
High stress.
Cool.
Just nightmare.
That aged you probably 10, 15 years easily.
Oh, dude, man. I'm actually 21 right now. So yeah, and so we were driving to the job and we were fighting all the way and stuff like that. But we got to the end and we're like, thank goodness, we're finally going to get a payday. Finally. Oh, actually, I skipped one part out. Is that there's this thing called congestion charge in London. So if you drive through central London, you have to pay a toll fee to go through. And because there's so many cameras all over the place, they'll take your picture. And if you don't pay, it's something like £175 for the fine.
Okay.
And we weren't paying.
Okay.
Every day.
Okay.
Right? So we're, our vehicle's getting a little bit of heat on it, right? Yeah. So anyway, so that was just on top of everything else. Yeah. So we got to the end of the job, put our invoices in, and we got the original check written out to us. And we're like, okay, so when are we getting the rest of the check? And the guy who owned the company was like, what rest of the check?
Yeah. And
we were like, what?
So they were agreeable when you were asking, and then they completely forgot when it came down to writing the check.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
Right. My business partner did it all on a handshake. No paperwork, no paper trail.
Yeah.
So, and this company, I'm not going to name the names, Bovis. They're a multi-million, probably billion-pound company.
Yeah.
We're little fish to them.
Yeah.
They've got a high-priced lawyer on the payroll
Okay.
to eat people like us.
Right.
So we were done.
Yeah.
So that very day, because I hadn't been paying my rent, because I thought everything was coming at once, I drove home, I packed all my stuff, and I was homeless. Boom, just like that.
So what did that look like? So you went from having a flat or an apartment to...
I had an apartment which I shared with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. And basically packed all my stuff into the van, and from then on I lived in the van.
Okay.
So, and obviously there's a few friends around, but when you're in that mindset, everything about you, people don't want to be around you. You know, when you walk past somebody who's on the street and you're like, oh God, look at the state of them.
Yeah.
You got to understand that turmoil inside, the war inside of them, which has put them in that place that makes it hard for them to be interactive with people and makes it a little socially awkward. And I was fully in there. So I stayed at a few friends' houses, but like at the end of the day, most people are living in shared accommodation at that point.
Yeah.
And their flatmates were like, listen, he's not paying anything. He needs to leave.
Yeah.
Like,
So do you have sympathy for homeless people, or do you dismiss them quick when they...
No, I never dismiss anybody, not one human being.
Okay.
Not one human being. You know,
I'm guilty of that. I am totally. We went downtown last night, looked at an apartment, and my back tire got stolen off my bike because we just biked there.
Oh, man.
And I guess while we were there, while she was waiting, while I rode the other bike home, I get, like, I don't know, a handful of homeless people or whatever you want to call them came up. And as soon as I saw them on the street, I was just like, piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. But you know what? You're right. They have stories. Maybe, they don't want to be there. I can't see
not
too many
everything is
wanting
drug
to.
or alcohol induced.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a part of the bigger picture, but yeah, some people just, that's it. Like they just have no choice and they just get run out like that.
So anyways, you're in your van. How long were you homeless for?
Right.
What was it like
this story goes deep, man.
Yeah.
So I was in the van, right? And it's getting cold. And I've got no money for petrol, so I can't run the engine all night. So it got to a point where I'm like, oh, well, I need to go and stay someplace. Like, and nobody's letting me stay. And then a friend of mine, he lived across the road from this old house. And he said he hasn't seen anybody in that house since he lived there. He's like, you should go and stay in there. I was like, yeah, I'm on it.
That's what you did?
So I put myself into that house.
Yeah.
And I lived there for a while. But one of my conditions to myself was I never take any of my stuff in there. This is just for sleeping.
Right.
This is just so I can have a safe place to sleep. Anyway, so I got back on my feet with work. I found a job and I was like, okay, this is my chance.
Yeah.
This is my chance to get this stuff sorted out. And one day I moved all my stuff in there. I'm like, this guy said, like, you need to go and buy the paint, collect it, all that. I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put my stuff in the house. And one day I'm going to put it in and I'm going to take all the stuff to the job site. And then in the evening time, move it back out and all good.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't had any problems, so it should be fine. I get to the job site, everything's fine. And I get a phone call from my friend across the road. He's like, hey, pal, you can't ever go back to that house again. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the police are all over there. And, you know your stuff? They're throwing it all in a big BFI bin outside.
Really?
I was like freaked out. Because at that point, that was everything I had. All I had was that. And I was at work in the only pair of clothes that I had at the time, which was a pair of like painter's whites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dirty, nasty ass shoes and that. And that was it. So I was like, I freaked out on him and I was like, listen, you need to go in that house, go and get my stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. Just say that you like the stuff. But he was like, no, I ain't going over there. And I can't fault him for that. Like, why would you go over there? Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to take this stuff from my friend.
Yeah.
You're heating yourself out.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I was like, okay, I've lost everything now.
Wow.
All my worldly possessions.
How old were you at that point? Where were you?
We're talking about 24 years old.
Okay, so very young man at that point.
Right.
Okay.
24 years old. and like just down and out,
Yeah.
down and out. I didn't think there was any lower I could go, and I was like, you know what? All I got now is this job. And so I started telling the place I worked at, I was like, listen, I'm gonna do some late nights here, okay?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, that's great. 'Cause I want to get the job done.
Yeah.
So I was sleeping in
Sleep
the
there, yeah.
building. I was sleeping in the building.
So what was that like? Like, I mean, just
It's
not
horrible.
having a place. You know, it sounds good, and you say it with a smile, but man, like, doesn't matter what age I am, doesn't matter what I'm going through in my life. I wouldn't want to know that I don't have anything to go back to, you know, and all my eggs are in one basket.
At that very moment, I hated myself. I hated life. I didn't want to be here no more. Like I thought that I was a piece of garbage. I thought in my head hearts that I was getting what I deserved. Like when I got that stuff taken out, I wasn't a criminal. I've never been a criminal, never. And but I was just doing because I needed. I had to. I had no choice at that moment. And so, the thought process that went through my head was, I'm getting what I deserve right now. I'm getting what I deserve because I shouldn't have been in that house in the first place. Actually, I went down to the police station afterwards, and I said, listen, I was squatting in this house, and I've lost all my stuff. Like, do you guys have it? Like, I know I'm not meant to be in there, but that's all I've got. And the woman behind the desk, she just laughed at me. She said, like, get out of here. Like, you shouldn't have even been in the first place.
Really?
And I remember my head just going down. It's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I'm getting what I deserve right now. Yeah.
So you had your job. So you have this job. You're sleeping kind of at the job during at night. So how did you pivot? How do we get out of this hole?
Right. Still to come, man. It still gets worse.
It gets worse. Okay, sorry.
So let me ask you right then and there. So at that point, when you hit that bottom, when the hook gets you, that's Rick Singh. So when you hit rock bottom, what were some of the things? What was like? You know, at that point in time, you start making promises. You know, you start making changes. So were you still drinking at the time?
Oh yeah.
Still drinking
at that moment
Yeah.
when I was home. Oh, dude, man, that was probably the heaviest.
Yeah.
Well, one of the heaviest points of my life.
Okay. So would you say that was one of your limiting factors?
Oh,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Because you can't think straight.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like that, you can't think straight.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a point in this story I'll get to in a minute where that was challenged big time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can't have a bad situation because bad things are going to happen, guaranteed. But if you add alcohol into the mix and then self-deprecating thoughts as well, that is a one-way trip down. There's no getting out of that.
So when you were at that point, was there ever a thought that crossed your mind to just end it?
100%. That's actually been a reoccurring theme in my life up until probably a few years ago. Always have that sort of empty feeling. I guess a few things what happened, and you hold on to these stories in your head about your life and all the things that go on with you, and sometimes it's so hard to let them go. And that's I think like that's one of the main reasons for mental health problems is not knowing how to let those things go.
So the stories you tell yourself and the words you say.
Man, we've all got this story in our mind of ourselves. We've got this story. I like to call it a picture we carry around with us. So we've all got this picture and we start out as a young kid, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be, a football player, whatever. And we're like, yeah, that's great. And we've got these dreams and that. And then suddenly, boom, one failure hits you. You're like, oh, man, that guy's a lot better than me. And then you make a fool out of yourself, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get this picture out of my pocket, and I'm gonna draw a little bit of a nose on it, like a big nose, like because now I feel like a bit of an idiot, so I may as well make myself look like one. I put that picture back in your pocket, and then something else happens, like a girl rejects you or something. And then you start, I'm just going to black out a couple of these teeth, and I'm going to draw like a monobrow. If anyone out there's got a monobrow, it's fine. By the way, it's fine. But yeah, you draw that on you, and then you keep adding to this picture. And then so you get further down the line as an adult in your life, and then people see something good in you. They say to you like, oh, you could be really good at this. And you're like, what are you talking about? This is me.
Yeah.
Have you seen me?
Yeah.
I can't. Have you seen what's on my face there? This is me.
Yeah.
And this is what I adhere to. Like, what you're talking is garbage, which it isn't, by the way. This is just the story in your mind that you've built up. But other people can see past that because they're not living with it on a 24/7 basis.
Right.
But this picture we carry around with ourselves. Everybody's got this self-image picture, right? And they hold it and they add on to it. And the worst part about it is they forget about all the positive things that happen to them, all the good stuff, and they remember every single negative factor about their life. And then here's the paradox. Have you ever spoken to somebody about something and they're telling you a story about their life? You know, you just said to me, like, oh, you're telling this story with a smile on your face. Here's the reason why. Because I've made a settlement with that story and I've taken the learnings from that and I've grown now. And this isn't me. This is just something that I went through to get to the place where I'm at. These are all things that I had to go through to become the man that I am today. It makes me far stronger and far better than I was
Well, and if
before.
you look at it now, like, I mean, that was, you're 24 at the time, right? So if you look at it now, you're like, man, 24, there's still so much more to go.
Right.
But when you were at that point, you're like, there's nothing beyond this.
Dude, do you know how many people are walking around 24 plus? They've already died at 24. They're just waiting to die. You know, they've decided this is as far as I go. There's no more for me. Yeah.
Why do you think human psychology makes us always go to the negative? You know?
Because
Do you think it's society, or do you think that it's
I think
the
it's
person?
innate. I think it's innate. And I believe because we've still got that reptilian brain, right? The hind brain, right? The hind brain is our old school brain. The frontal lobe only developed like, when we became a little more social. But the hind brain, when we were hunter-gatherers, the hind brain was the thing that kicks in and tries to save your life. So the negativity part of it that we pick up on is the stuff which would have saved our life back then.
Right. So self-preservation.
Right,
basically,
exactly.
yeah.
And now it's not so much of a factor, but we still have that part of our brain. But it's on us to learn how to deal with our brain, because our mind is the strongest thing that we've got. Our mind is 10,000 times stronger than any computer out there. There's not a computer that can match the brain. Not a computer. But because of that, there's no wonder that so many people have problems with their minds, because it's such a hard thing to conquer. And not many people are dedicated to trying to get the best out of it or understanding it, or they're just sort of like, okay, I can't deal with this, I'm going to go drink, or, this is just who I am, because that is not who you are. Yeah. It's just a moment in time.
Yeah.
You know?
You take that, and then you take alcohol or drugs or anything negative, all the vices that we have, social media, and before you know it, you spend no time making yourself better. All you do is see the negative in everything at that point, right?
Oh, my days.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying society has kind of led us into a direction where we just always default to the negative.
You know what it is? It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap that we lay for ourselves, right? So if you think of the mind in two different parts, right? So you've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So think about the conscious mind as the captain of your ship. So the captain of your ship says, this place is negative. This world is terrible. And the workers are the subconscious. So the subconscious takes that and says, okay, so now I'm going to search and make the captain happy and find everything that agrees with what he says. So now, because like if we saw everything, by the way, like it'd be so much to compute. So we have to pick little things, and that's how it works. So then we find all of the negative things and report back to ourselves. And you'll hear this sort of narrative going through your mind of like, see, I told you, look at this guy. What a piece of shit. I'm sorry, I swore.
It's okay.
It's
Swearing's okay.
Swearing's okay. I'm trying to hold myself back. But you feed the narrative which you've built for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
To please the captain of your ship, your conscious mind.
Yeah.
And that's why people who are very negative, they're proving it over and over and over and over to themselves.
Yeah.
But you can switch that. You can switch that if you choose, because everything's a choice, by the way. And if you say it's not, that's a choice. So
I feel like a switch in perspective is the solution to that problem. You can see anything in a positive. You can certainly see anything in a negative, but it's consciously making the switch. You know, just saying, I'm not seeing it from the negative anymore. And that's it. You see it from the positive, you know?
Right. So
and catch yourself doing it, right? When you catch
100.
yourself course correct.
Yeah. And I just want to shine light on something which I wanted to mention. It's one of the first things that I thought when you guys invited me down here.
Look what he did there.
Yeah.
Kind of got all giggly.
Yeah.
It's one of the first things I thought about. Like, RJ's a great example of this. It's like getting nervous. What's he about to say?
Yeah, I know.
This is live. This is live.
I don't like people talking about me.
No. This is all good though.
Okay.
This is all good though, because put it this way, this COVID-19 thing struck. A lot of businesses started to get, oh my days, we are having to shut down. What are we gonna do? And I see RJ, because RJ, you're always on. I always admire you. You're a great business guy. And he didn't take a second, pivoted. Boom, we're going online. We're starting a podcast. We're doing all these things with that smile, you know?
Yeah.
And that's because he's chosen to not see the negative.
Yeah.
He sees the opportunity.
Yep.
And that is the choice we all have to make.
Big time.
Right? And it's a habit. And that's not to say like, oh, you just make the choice and it always happens. No, but then you catch yourself in it. And I always say to people who I work with is you must get yourself an alignment process, which you adhere to at least once a week. Almost like a checklist that you check in on. Am I still doing this in my life? Am I still aligned in such a way that I'm going towards the goal that I'm setting out to do? And I'm being the person that I am meant to be in my life, like for everyone around me. And if you're not enough, think about your family, think about somebody or something in your life that you have to be better for, you know? And I see RJ doing that to the bit, but success doesn't come easy. It takes a lot of time and effort. And I know there's probably people out there that's like, oh, it's okay for RJ to say. But I was actually did a little bit of research on you. I saw some old school videos that you did from back in the day. So you've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
And he hasn't just seen the fail. Like, look, I'm not going to say you failed, but you know, you've seen the things that you needed to improve on. And you've improved them, and you kept stepping forward and getting better and better, 1% every day, right? That's what you say, right?
It's stuck. It's stuck.
Right.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
100% stuck, man. And
Yeah.
so I just wanted to say that when I came on, I admire the way you do business, and I admire the businessman you are, my brother.
Thank you. But I'll tell you, it's nothing without these guys.
Yes, sir.
That's
It's the
team,
team.
man. I'm one man. Right?
Yes, sir.
I can only go out and score 50 points like MJ, but I need the rebounders. I need the assist guys. I need my 5 minutes off. I need everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it comes with surrounding yourself with winners.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that I've really adopted was just to say yes. Say yes, figure it out, fail, maybe fight, and then move on. Right? And that's the key.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So let's go back to your story.
Right. So
you
I was
hit
in
bottom, you got kicked out, you're at the police station.
Right.
So how do you pivot this?
And so
I don't know if we can get any deeper. I don't know if it gets any worse. I think you got to bring it up. We only got 15 more minutes.
Richard,
you got to start ramping it up.
15
Are you an alcoholic at this point, or are you just a heavy drinker?
I wouldn't say an alcoholic, but I wasn't like drinking in the morning or anything like that. But yeah, I was drinking heavy.
Okay.
All right, so I'll speed this up. Like, I got a couple other things I want to tell you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, like, so the congestion charge that I talked about before, it caught up on me. So I went there. I went to the job site, came back out to see my van, and my van had gone.
Oh, couldn't get any worse.
They told
There
me.
it is.
Couldn't get
So
any
your
worse.
new home is gone.
Yeah.
There it is. So anyway, so just to speed the story up a little bit, I guess I must have had some type of like, what's that? Fairy godmother.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I must have fairy godmother.
Guardian
look after
angel,
me.
yeah.
Guardian angel. That's right. Because it's like suddenly out of the blue, my friend phone called, and this guy who I hadn't talked to for years was like, "Hey, pal, I'm coming down to London, man. Like, can I come stay at your place?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on down."
We live in the BFI bin now.
Right,
We stay here.
Yeah, you're going to be working with me on the job site.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that room right there is mine, and that room right there is yours.
That's exactly right. I didn't tell him that part though, like, right? So he came down, and when he got here, I was like, "Hey, I got something to tell you," and I was like, "I'm going to a place to stay," and he was like, "That's fine." And here's the shift, right?
Okay.
This is the shift I wanted to mention to you guys. Okay. I told him the worst. Like, I've got no place to stay from. He didn't even flinch. He's like, yeah, that's fine. I've decked out the back of it because he had a big van.
Okay.
I've decked out the back of the van. It's got heaters, got kitchen in there. It's all good. So me and him started living in the back of the van.
Okay.
So then he became my leader at that point. And he kept saying, like, pal, get your head up. Because my head was down all the time. He's like, get your head up. We're going to go off. And we started finding these old doors, like in BFI bins. And we go and sell them. And bit by bit, and this is like skipping a whole bunch of the story, by the way, just to get it out. Bit by bit, we got back on our feet and we started going, and his mindset took the way. And I suddenly realized, I'm like, how can you stay so positive? Like, I've just given you like the worst. Why aren't you running away? And he installed that in me, and we got back on our feet from there. It was quite, and we were living in the back of the van for a while, and then we got enough money to get a place, and then, things led to another, and boom, back in the game.
Well,
Nice.
that's interesting.
So you can really see the decline, right? Like you were a CEO of a painting business. You had a major big job.
Right.
You had a crew, everything, and then it just
Right.
and then
Boom.
and then back up.
Yes, sir.
Right? I love that. I love a good story. So the guys that I follow are guys that came from nothing. I have a really hard time following somebody that's been successful
All their life.
So like when I follow athletes, the thing I respect the most about Kobe is that guy's had many injuries. Like he's knee fracture, he's had ankle fracture, and nobody really knows about that. But just to come back from an injury like that and to play into your like mid 30s, late 30s, I mean, that's super impressive. And so like I like it when I hear that guys have hit bottom, because everybody's got to hit a bottom at some point in time.
That wasn't even the last time, though. That wasn't even the last time.
You had another bottom?
100%. And I would say even worse than that. Even
and it's always a hilly path.
The homeless,
right?
But I think the key element to this is not moving past the things that have happened to you and sweeping them underneath like this carpet that's behind you and just moving forward. No. Because that stuff, like, you keep sweeping it until there's a mountain behind you and it falls on top of you and boom, you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
You must deal with things as they come up. You must. And you must develop a strategy of, like, when things come up, I will deal with them, then let them go. Because if you don't, suddenly you get depressed and you get in these ruts and you can't tell people what it is because it's an accumulation of a whole, like, hundreds of things. Because you haven't been dealing with the things that have come up.
Yeah.
You must deal with them. And it takes time, and I like to call it the process. You've got to get into the process. You've got to determine what reason are you here? Because I believe that we're all here for a reason. I believe that every human being has an innate greatness within themselves. And it is on us to actively seek that greatness out and live it as a lifestyle, because that is the only way that we get true joy out of our life, because we're then helping other people, helping everybody around us. And I truly believe it's in all of us. And for me, like, honestly, to go from that to the person I am today, I feel like that just shows you can be down on the bottom and still come back. It's never too late. Never ever too late.
But also, you said there was multiples after that. I mean, you're never really where you think that you should be.
Right.
And there's going to be times where you're going up the mountain. There's going to be times where you're coming down the mountain.
Right.
And it's peaks and valleys, right? So it's like, people are expecting to be high and be amazing forever, right? Like high on life and be amazing forever. And then there's going to be times where you just boom.
Well, here's my theory on that, is that, yes, life's hills and valleys for sure, but it's what you choose to do in those times.
Totally.
So when you're in the depths of hell or whatever, like when you're going down a bad spot, what are you learning from that? Or are you just turning around and saying, oh, this is what I get, I always do this? Because that internal narrative, again, when I talk about the captain of your ship and your subconscious and all of that, that's an effect on that, right? So you've got to become like a mind ninja, like, okay, and figure out, like, the failures aren't a bad thing. Failures are absolutely essential to growth. Like, for some reason, we reach an age where we decide that we should know it all now. I know it all, And it is, people try to teach you like, no, I know that already. It's like he hasn't even finished the sentence yet, and you're telling him because the ego's kicked in, and he's started to say like, you're looking like an idiot if you don't know this already.
Right.
Right. I don't know what age that is, but there's a certain age where we hit, and it's like, or I've got to create this image that I portray to everybody that I know it all already, and that very ego stops growth. That's that. Boom.
Yeah.
You don't grow any further until you overcome that ego.
Yeah.
And realize you can learn from every single human being. Like it doesn't matter age, sex, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
You can learn. Like I learn from my 2 children all the time.
Yeah.
You know the way they get in arguments with each other, like with their friends, and they don't hold on to that. Boom, it's dropped, and they're back to having fun.
Yeah.
We can all do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now that ego kicks in and says, if you don't hold your ground now, everybody's going to think you're weak. Everyone's going to think you're stupid. And the paradox about that is that's a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weakness. If you're allowing other people to dictate how you think, then that's your weakness. And it's something, and this isn't like, oh God, yeah, I'm a weak-minded person. No, this is like, okay, now I know this.
Yeah.
This is the analysis of failure. Now I know this about myself. I am now going to actively go to work on this part of me, and I'm gonna write it down, and I'm gonna make sure of it. I'm gonna become cognitive about this, and I'm gonna get better at it.
Yeah.
Because now you're in the growth process.
All the things that you're saying right now obviously was a mind shift. Would you say that gentleman that your second partner, the guy that came and you guys lived in a van together, he basically soul-handedly helped you switch your mindset? No. Okay.
Okay. At that point, like I was just out of homelessness. There was a point in my life just recently, well, it was like about 3 years ago. I was depressed again, and I was drinking heavily again. I was married, 2 kids, and the finger was blaming everyone around me. And this is one of the hugest things that we blame. And when you blame people, that's taking no responsibility for the things that you own yourself. Because one of the things is like you must own everything. You must own everything, and you must take responsibility for everything that happens to you. And that's not to say that you're responsible for everything that happens to you, but you're responsible for what happens after that.
Okay.
What do you do with that?
Yep.
So there's a point, and so I split up with my wife and realized that I was still very, very unhappy on my own. And then I was drinking even heavier, and I was very, very depressed, like I was suicidal and that.
Yeah. Can I stop you for 1 sec,
sure.
just to give everybody some timeline? So this all happened when you were in London?
Mm-mm.
No.
This is now when I'm in Canada.
Okay, so now you're in Canada.
Yeah, I moved over to Canada.
Okay.
Met a girl. We got married and all that. I had kids.
Okay.
And I hadn't. And this is what I was talking about. That stack underneath the carpet before.
Right.
That had fallen on me, and I couldn't see what was wrong. And the first thing for me to do right there was blame somebody else but me. And that was my wife at the beginning, and then it was my friends, and then suddenly you're all alone.
So can you give me an example of what was angering you? What were you blaming people for?
My misery.
Yeah.
I was miserable. I wasn't happy in life. Like
So why couldn't you see that? Like, why couldn't you see at the time that the problem wasn't the people around you? The problem was you. What was it that was
Good
like?
question.
Yeah.
Oh, because I believe that I spent so much time building up this narrative about myself, I couldn't see past that.
Okay.
I couldn't see past, and the stack of things that had happened to me, I was holding on to them. And if you don't let go of these things that happen to you, they stay inside of you, and they hurt only you. They don't hurt anyone around you. They only hurt you. If you aren't able to let it go, it just, every time you talk about it, comes up, it's like you're reliving it.
Yeah.
It's like, that pain as you're feeling that again, and then you're almost making it worse because, like, what Chinese whispers are like, it's the same in your mind. This story is now morphed into a monstrosity, right?
So when we started this podcast, you started the story at 24. Do you have issues prior to 24 that you're talking about how you haven't dealt with it?
Absolutely.
You want to give us a couple of those, like maybe what you were dealing with, just so we kind of get a better idea?
Just sort of like, I always had this, the dyslexia thing, I thought I was stupid.
Okay.
Like, I didn't think I was smart. And at that time, there wasn't so many dyslexics around, right? And it was kind of like the jokes would go around. And then I got this diagnosis at 16, and I wasn't able to accept that. I wouldn't accept the help. I was like, nah,
Okay.
I'm not that. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much ego, right? And then before that, sort of not having a father around when I was a kid, that affected me. So I remembered waking up as a little kid, like crying, like, why is my dad not love me? All these types of stuff, right? And then we moved around a lot. And my mom had depression, like, there's lots of stuff.
Okay.
So how do you think that you masked all those problems? Because obviously those problems were there and you're openly speaking about it right now. But when you were younger, there's no way that you had that self-recognition. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you didn't recognize that these are the things that were affecting you.
Right.
So how would you mask that? Like as a teenager,
with
say.
ego and like bravado.
Like you knew it.
Were you a tough guy? Were you a bully?
Guy. Oh, not bully. I hate
Not a bully?
bullies.
Okay.
Hate bullies. We grew up in England. Guess what, guys? It's not all cups of teas and crumpets. Like honestly, like this place is like a playground compared.
Yeah.
Like where I grew up, like it's crazy. Like we used to be fighting every weekend. Every single weekend we'd be fighting, and that's what we grew up doing.
Yeah.
You see the football violence stuff. That's all true. Like all of that stuff's true.
So you were hiding the fears and the pain that you had inside through anger and through aggression.
Anger, bravado, this false sense. And here's the thing: is when you build something like that, you know the truth. You know who you are inside, and that digs away at you because you don't like to lie, really. Like people who are liars, they're actually very angry at themselves for having to do that, and they'll go back and they'll beat themselves up for why do you always have to do this? You know what I mean? So, but I think we're not taught enough like how to deal with this stuff inside our minds. Because one thing that I always like to talk about is like when I'm first like, 'cause I do coaching with people and my podcast and stuff, and we're always talking about the mind and all of that, is like people don't know who they are. When you ask somebody who are, oh yeah, well I'm happy-go-lucky and I really like fitness. Like, no, okay, that's your hobbies and your personality, great.
Yeah.
But who are you? And they're like, kind of look at you like, well, I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I'm like, oh no, that's your body. But who are you?
Yeah.
And that's the point where people sort of like go, what are you talking about?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Right.
Who are you?
That is a tough question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very tough question. So how would you dig deeper into that? So wait, I want to go back to this. So
Sure.
and then let's go back to that. So in your teens, that's what you would do, is that's how you would mask it. Okay. So then into your 20s, were you at that point dealing with these issues, or were you still masking them?
Still masking them.
So how did it change? Because you're obviously not fighting when you're 24. You're now dealing with grown-up things like paying rent. So how would you mask the things that you had as a youth into your 20s?
Again.
And what I'm trying to do is help people identify maybe they're masking something going on in their 20s. Now I want to get into your 30s. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was still sort of the finger of blame was strong. Like, oh, I'm this way because of this person, I'm this way because of that person.
So instead of fighting with your fists, you're now fighting with your words.
My mind.
Your mind, and just playing mental warfare with those, with
Exactly.
yourself and those around you.
Exactly. The feeling of not being enough was strong.
But you
so
didn't
strong.
you didn't admit that to yourself.
No.
And as such, you flipped it around into something opposite of what that is.
I admitted to myself, but I wouldn't admit it to other people.
Other people. That's like you wouldn't open it up.
No.
So what about into your 30s? Because you said that
Into my
you had some problems, right? You said
Right.
that you
So
considered,
life started getting real. I had 2 children, and my mind was telling me like, you're not good enough for these 2 beautiful children. My children, beautiful by the way, they're amazing.
What's their names?
Cara and Kingston.
Love it.
Yeah, the most beautiful children I've ever seen in my life. And I'd look at these kids and I'm like, I'm not good enough for you. Like I would tell myself, you'd be better off without me. Without me, like, because I'm just gonna mess you up.
You think that's because you didn't have a father growing up, and you thought? Maybe...
Well,
my question would be, how could you even say that, considering that you didn't have a father growing up? Even if you think you're a degenerate, don't you think it's still important to be in that kid's life?
Well, that's the thing. That's the power of the mind. The mind then takes you down. Like, you know, when people like, so I had a friend, he killed himself, right? And that was one of the switches in me to really make the change, because I felt the same way as him. But he took his life, and that really showed me something that was like, wow, that was really bad. And he's left his son behind and all that. But he was in such a war inside his mind that he couldn't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that eventually ate him alive. And because he masked it with the drugs and the alcohol. And that, again, sort of puts you in such a place that you can't see the wood for the trees. You can't see. People will look in and say, like, well, he should have done that and this. You got to get in his shoes.
Yeah, of course.
You got to see it from his. Like, you got to meet him where he's at, right? And understand and dive into the reason why he feels that way. You know, and understand that and get him to understand that, or her to understand that, and then you can grow.
Right.
You can't stand from the ivory tower saying, well, you should have done this and that.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't work. That just makes them feel even smaller. Yeah, I should have done that, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I always say if whatever your situation that is bothering you the most, right? So whether it be bills, whether it be wife, whether it be life, whatever it is, think about what the worst case scenario is and just bring it to life. Face it.
Right.
Face that fear. What is the worst? Okay, so you get evicted. Okay, so you get your van taken away from you. So you're living in the place where you work. Okay. All right. Okay, I see it. All right, now what? Let's go. We only got up to go from there. And if it gets worse, all right, let's face that too. Bring it on. And keep going, because at 24, if you would have ended your life, you would not be here today.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you still have so much more to go.
Oh man,
So it's like even if you're in a problem state right now, it doesn't matter, because you've been there.
Right.
Face whatever it is that you're facing, because you're always going to be something. This is not the perfect world.
And that's the key right there, what you're saying there. You've got to create a situation. Because right now, just so everyone knows, I've never been better. I've never worked harder, and I've never been in a better position. And I've never been more driven to make a difference in the world, especially for people who felt the way I did. So right now, the way I look at it is that I had to go through those times. So now I can't only just talk to these people, I can identify with these people. And I can help them, because I can say, like, listen, I've been there. I understand it. And I'm here to say things can change, but you have to make the change. Because so many people out there is just like, well, I need somebody to make this change. No, you are the one. You are the only person that's going to make any change in this. And it's hard work, but it's worth it. Just like everything else that's hard, it's got great rewards at the end.
Yeah. So that's what a coach does, right? A good coach is that they narrow that path. So instead of you going through the normal paths of success, which is not a straight line, the coach shows you from point A to point B versus going point B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, right? So instead of bouncing around, that's what a coach does. They narrow that line.
And stop that confusion too, right?
Yeah.
That, because like when you
keep you on line with your path, because you try to go at this journey alone. And a lot of tough guys, right, will try and do this thing alone. They feel like their way is the only way, and they get upset. And it's like, I'm smarter than everybody else. I know more. I've been around longer. I've been whatever it is. And you just end up going way off course, right? Sometimes you just need somebody just to straighten you out a little bit and say, listen, man, this is not the right thing to do. You know, you can do that if you want. That's fine with me. But I'm telling you, you're going in the wrong direction.
As soon as you think you know it all, you know nothing.
You know nothing. So that's what you do. So let's talk a little bit about your business. So you do coaching for people.
Sure. Let me just finish that real quick story, quick. I'm right at the end.
Okay.
So like all that happened, my friend killed himself, and I was like in a bad place, moved out of the wife and that.
Yeah.
And
You're in Winnipeg.
I'm in Winnipeg at that point.
Yep.
And then suddenly I get really sick. Like I get sick, like sicker than I've ever been before. Couldn't go to work. I was off work, and I had a lump in my body. And it taken me out. I couldn't even move without having. I've never been in that much pain. I had to go through some surgeries. Never been in that much pain. And then my mindset at that point was at the peak of negativity. It was at the peak of like, I just want to be done with this. And it was that point I started having these crazy dreams. And this is my pivot point right now. I started having these crazy dreams, and it was that scene out of Pulp Fiction. You know that Pulp Fiction movie?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
No, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Which part? No, I can't remember.
You don't know it? Right.
I've seen it, but what is it? Tell us.
Right, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta walk into a room, and their boss has had something stolen from them. And these guys are in this apartment. They come in because they're gangsters. And they come into this room, and there's this guy sat in the middle. And in my dream, I was the guy sat in the middle. And Samuel Jackson, starts on this rampage of the sequel. He starts talking about the Bible, right?
Okay.
Ezekiel's 25:15. The path of the righteous man is set before thee. And it goes into that sort of like, with great vengeance and furious anger, I'll strike down upon my brothers, or whatever he says, right?
Okay.
And then at the end, he goes, pow, shoots him. And it was so vivid. I'd wake up from this dream, and I'm like, what?
Really?
I thought, I swear to, and he shot me in the face, and I was like, what the hell? And I had this dream every single night, night after night after night after night. I was like, the last night I had it, I was like, I woke up and I'm like, what is this about? And so I started watching that scene on my phone. I'd had to change my clothes. I was sweating that bad. I turned lights on. I was like quivering. Shit, it was terrible. And I'm watching this film, and it talks about the path of the righteous man, and the righteous man helps his brothers in the path of darkness or something like that. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now on the spot. He shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, because he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I was like, yeah, that's how we're meant to help people in the dark. And right now, I'm just hiding in the dark. I'm hiding. I'm not. And I looked through my life, and it talks about the righteous man. And I wasn't a righteous man at that point. I was being an idiot, and I was destroying. I was throwing away everything. I was throwing, and it was at that moment I made this decision that, okay, I'm going to start. This is enough's enough. My babies deserve more from me, and life deserves more from me. I stopped drinking that day. Dropped. No drinking anymore.
Really?
And I dedicated myself to changing my life, changing the things and dealing with the things which had happened to me that I'd had. It's like somebody had held me on the ground by the neck, and I decided no more that's going to happen to me. And I started actively going and exposing the lies that I've been telling myself, and figuring out ways, and shifted my mindset. And so this lump that had appeared in my body, they couldn't tell me what it was. The doctors had put me on chemo and everything. They were like,
oh, really?
yeah. That was horrible.
Okay.
And they were like, we don't know. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And this is the power of the mind, by the way, because the mind will paralyze you. Like, I think any type of sickness starts in the mind.
I would
begins
agree, yeah.
there. And as soon as I shifted, things started to change. And my focal point wasn't on like, I'm dying. This is terrible. It being, okay, what do I need to do? And then I became obsessed with, getting myself better. I wanted to start speaking to those and try to help those. And then this lump, before I knew it, had disappeared. And I tried to and this is one of my qualms about the doctors, by the way. I tried to tell the doctor what had happened, and he was just like, didn't want to hear it. It's just like, yeah, whatever. So you don't need the pills anymore? Like, I'm not going to tell you. Like. But then, ever since then, I started not only getting better in myself, I started thriving in it, and I was obsessed with it. I was reading 2 books a week in that field: psychology, spirituality, all these types of things, and decided I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And then that grew, and then I wanted to be a coach. And then I was like, I fell into the videography stuff, and I sort of started a YouTube channel and started speaking about this stuff, because people who are down and out, they don't always want to come for help, but they will watch.
Yep.
And they will sometimes pick up on something in that video, like I did. I got inspired by the Les Browns and the Tony Robbins and all those guys out there. I got really inspired by them, and if it wasn't for them, I'd still be in that mindset. And I was like, I feel like, and I was listening to them, I'm like, I can tell stories like that. I can do that. I know I can do that. And it was almost like it was a calling of my life, because things started happening for me. And I can't tell you how much different my life is now in comparison. And it's to the point, like today, later on this afternoon, I'm talking to a producer. We're going to be talking about starting to do some documentaries about this type of stuff and short movies and stuff like that. So things are just moving.
Yeah.
It's the universe has that way of working though. Like if you set your mind on a goal and you really go at it and you don't take no for an answer, that it's like the universe says, okay, he's serious.
Yeah.
Let's start opening up for him. You know?
So how would you say somebody that's really stuck, right? Your 24-year-old self, your 30-something-year-old self, when you were ultimately stuck and you know, it's easy for us to say, yeah, pick that goal and go after it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't even see past the next 5 minutes.
Right.
So what is it that you would tell somebody that, you know, how do they get out of just being paralyzed?
You got to start with take a look through your routines, and you know what I'm talking about with routines. I feel like life is made up about your routines. So take a check on what your routines are.
Like routines is in what? Is in drinking? Is in partying on the weekends? When do you go to bed? When do you go to bed?
Daily routine. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like so your daily routine. What do you do on a daily basis?
Okay.
Is this setting you up for success? Is it, or is it actually going to be sabotaging you?
Yes.
For the next day or for the goal? Do you have a goal? And if not, what is your goal? Or who do you want to be?
Yeah.
Like I think people get stuck on that. Who do I want to be? And I think that you should sort of build this thing because, like I said before, I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker, and that's what I went at. And the key is not to make that a solid. Like it has to be that. It can't be anything else because you start running in that direction, and then suddenly something's revealed to you, like, oh, actually, no, over there. No, that sounds great, and you can still encumber that, but then over there and keep moving because you're moving forward now and you're making progress. And so, yeah, I think it's like you must have a goal. And if you're at the bottom, as you say, I always like to say to use this starting line thinking. And what that is whatever's happened. Say you're having a bad day at work and everything's shit's hit the fan. And you're like, oh, all that work that I've done before is garbage. And most people are like, oh, I want to go home, fight or flight kicks in. Now, you've got to employ, if you want to get a good result anyways, a starting line state of mind. So where you're at right now is the starting line. Don't worry about anything that's gone on before. That's all garbage. You got to close that door because none of that is going to help you get to your goal. None of that. That's all garbage. But where is your goal now? It's over here. I'm here. You're there. What do I need to do to get to that point?
Yeah.
Regardless of what's happened before.
Right.
And that's starting line thinking. And you must employ that every day. Otherwise, those little things, that'll hold you back. That chirpiness in your mind.
Yeah.
Because as I was saying before, you aren't your mind. When it's talked about who are you aren't your mind and you're not your feelings. You're behind that. You're this thing that some people like to call it the self. And you get to watch those thoughts and you get to watch those emotions and you pick and choose which ones you're going to use. But a lot of the time we move forward and we sit inside the thoughts and the feelings and react. We become reactive to our environments rather than being able to say, take a second. This is a great example of that. Road rage. If you're in a car and you hear this, and, you know, guys, we get that sort of like, oh, who's this?
Immediately, I want to murder somebody.
Who is this? Right.
Immediate.
Right.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear that, I actually honk back.
Right.
I see a guy honking at that guy, and I'm like,
wait.
Probably the right way to handle it, right there. Right?
No, but if they were honking at you, so if he honked at you, I honk at you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like.
So that honk goes, right? You get a thought of like, who the hell is this? You get an emotion of like, he's testing me, right?
Yeah.
And you react. And suddenly, this guy makes a left turn. Well, that's the right or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, right?
But you picked up on it right away, right?
Left L,
Yeah.
right? My wife does that. There you go. You're
Which
good to go.
one's the L?
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, so he turns, but you carry on down the road, and you keep this with you.
Oh, yeah, you're still
holding
pissed
on to
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you get to work, and you're telling that story.
Yes.
And you're so like, this guy beeped at me.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
This guy, maybe he just leaned on the bit. Oops, I
Yeah.
just leaned to get some. Boop.
I'll tell you, I honk all the time. My son's, Daddy, honk the horn, and I'm like
Right.
wailing on the horn, and so I'm like, hey, it's my son. What do you
You
want me
get to
do?
be the control. You
Yeah.
are in control,
Totally.
unless you don't want to be, and
Yeah.
you let. Sweet, enjoy that, because you're gonna be full of drama.
Yeah.
So don't carry it forward.
Don't
you
carry
don't
it
even
forward.
know if you let somebody influence how you feel,
Right.
you've already lost. And they might not even be trying to influence you in the way that it influenced you. And you
Right.
don't even know it, but you perceived it as something negative, and you
Yeah.
carried it forward, not only to yourself, but now you're bringing it to the other people around you.
100.
That's actually one of the reasons why I stopped watching the news and reading the newspaper.
Oh.
My routine, so getting back to what you said, your routine would be get up early in the morning. I'd go to one of these dive restaurants, eat a very unhealthy breakfast. I got all three newspapers, the Sun, the Free Press, the Metro. Prior to that, I was watching like whatever the CNN morning show, CTV. By 9:30 in the morning, after eating all the grease and shitty food, I was so angry. I was like, fucking potholes, shitty weather, like all of the things that they're always throwing at you, the same garbage that has been being spewed by the media for years. And I'm so angry about this. I haven't even started my day yet.
Yeah.
So what do you think the first phone call I make or receive is? Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you want? Like, what does this person need to take that from me for?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. The messages,
you
and you got to
primed
let it
your
go, man.
environment.
Let it go. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that us as gym owners, we're into this phase 2, right? And they literally just dropped it on us Wednesday. Which it's a good thing. Everybody's excited
gym's
to get back to the
reopening
gym.
now?
Yeah. So as of Monday, we're technically allowed to open, and so it's really exciting. It is
God.
relieving, but at the same time, we're gonna take our time, right? And so if we're being reactive, and there's other gyms that are going to open up on Monday, and my old self would have been reactive, like, oh, they're opening, we need to open up right now, even though we're not ready, let's just go, right? And now I'm like, no, let's be the wise bull, and let's walk down the hill. If anybody knows that story,
I love
let's,
that one.
let's walk down the
I
bull,
love that.
and let's just take our time and let's do it right. You know what I mean? Versus
do
being
more.
reactive and rushing.
Yeah.
And so, so for everybody asking that question, are we going to open Monday? Are we going to open? Everybody's opening on Monday. Everybody's opening. No. We're going to do it right.
Yeah.
We're still going to give you awesome virtual workouts for a week. Give us a week. We're going to set the gym up. We're going to make it look good for you. We're going to make sure that we can accommodate everybody. There's a lot to it. Otherwise, the government's snapping their fingers and we're being reactive. Because listen to this. We were actually told that we wouldn't open till September. So to say, listening to other people and what they're telling you and this and that, like, dude, I get 5-6 messages of people telling me that we're, when we're going to be opening and how it's going to look. And within a snap of a finger, that completely changes. So I've learned to just take things day by day. I don't even check the weather anymore. You know why? Because it's always different.
Yeah.
Did you look at it today? Right?
It's freezing
Yeah, it's
today.
freezing.
Yeah.
It's going to rain.
Only
or whatever.
because I walked out there, though, not because I checked.
Exactly. I look out my window. When I get up at 4 a.m. and I look out the window, I'm like, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
You can tell the people who watch the news, especially right now too, because I remember I walked into the Walmart a couple of weeks ago, and I don't watch the news. I'm not saying that I am blind to what is going on.
Yep.
But I know what's going on. Okay, I can't change that.
Yeah, exactly.
I can control what's going on within me.
Yeah. That's the only thing you can do is
how
change-
you
show
dissect it is up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going about my day, and I'm in a happy mood. Like I got the music on. I almost like dance into Walmart.
I know I'm one of those weirdos that looks you in your eye at Walmart and walk by you. And,
me too.
When somebody's all, social distancing.
Or even go as far as to say hello.
Or going,
you weirdo.
Yeah, going
What?
the wrong way. Have you been to Walmart?
No.
They have arrows, so every thing has an arrow, and I'm
Okay.
like going opposite arrow. Oh, Jet, we're going the wrong way for the social distancing. Oh, sorry, you know what I mean? Like you got to make light of it, right?
Yeah, you
like,
do. Can't take it too
respect
serious.
at the same time, but make light of it.
Right. And actually, I just want to touch on what you just said there as well with your boy. We got to make sure, because we're demonstrating to our children at all times. So if you're freaking out, guess what? Your little guy
He's
or
going to be
your
raised.
little girl,
He's going to be raised to be a panic.
But they're also scared. Like you get to control that. You get to teach them at this moment. This is how you control yourself from the inside, because we're in full control of everything that goes on within here.
Yeah.
And we don't get to control a virus. We don't get to control that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can tell when you walked around the supermarket, like I suddenly was like, this feels weird. I took my headphones out because I listened to my music.
Yeah.
Silence, dead silence. and people
I know,
looking
it's so
scared.
weird.
I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, like, stop watching the news.
Yeah.
It's because now it's like people are watching the news constantly. Then they're on the radio in the car, and then they're walking in and they're talking to each other about it. And now suddenly their whole life is about that.
I know.
And that's
And you're going to take a side. You're always going to take a side about the news, especially politics. So,
Right.
And then the conversation's over. Now you're just always arguing with somebody. That's it, right? I just want to give you a little shout out on your YouTube channel. So these are the types of videos that he has. Here's the titles of them. So POW, the podcast featuring, actually, never mind that one. Change the environment, change your life. The rest of them are podcasts. That's why I'm saying skip it over. Reprogram yourself, change your life, start living your best life. Words are powerful. Stop caring about what other people's opinions and start. I can't really see what the rest of it says there, but so if you're the type of person like me who looks for an individual like Richard to get you through a day, looking for positive messages and some education, you might want to subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is Richard Powell. He's got a lot of stuff on there.
Is that what it's called? How do they find it?
Richard Powell, right?
Richard Powell, and Powell's POW.
POW, yeah. So, Richard, we are going to wrap it up just because we're a little bit over on.
How can people get a hold of you?
Time, yeah.
Well, they can go. I do coaching, so if anybody wants a free session or anything like that, you can reach me. My website's richardpowell.com. All my details are on there. Okay. Also, if you care to subscribe to my channel, support the cause.
You bet.
I'm just trying to help people get the best out of life.
So why don't we all do that right now?
Yeah, guys,
right after this call, let's go on YouTube. And let's go subscribe to Richard Powell.
And that's super important, guys. Anybody who's a content creator, one of the most valuable things you can do is like, comment, share their content, let everybody know about it. Let me finish it with this question. You grew up without a father for the most part. You reconnected 20 years later, something like that. What advice are you giving? How old are you right now? Can I ask you that?
I'm 36 years old.
36-year-old Richard is giving 15-year-old Richard what advice?
Oh, wow.
Just a couple nuggets.
I'd say one of them would be other people's opinions of you are none of your business.
Wow, that seems to be a popular one, eh?
That is 100%.
Okay.
Don't worry about other people. Just worry about you. And focus in on what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Let's set a goal and let's every day keep in line with that because you must have an alignment process.
Let me ask you, I feel like a lot of young people are expected to know the answer to that. How do they know that? I mean, I remember when I was 15, people were like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to school? What are you going to do for a living? I don't know. I have no idea. So how do you analyze that statement?
Cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think far too many people are doing things in life that they hate to do every single day. They hate their job, and you're there probably 80% of your life.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy? Like, find something you enjoy and go at it because you might start out getting paid a little amount, but if you enjoy it and it becomes a passion, you will go the extra mile. And guess what? It pays dividends. When you don't care about something, you're not putting your heart into it. You're never going to reach a top level at that. And maybe that's not what you want out of life.
Yeah.
Maybe you do want to do something different, and that's fine. But just lean into that. Lean into the things you feel as if you're drawn towards, and play around with them.
Yeah.
Especially at a young age like that. I wouldn't at that point, it's just like all you want to be doing right now is educating yourself and enjoying yourself.
Right.
Enjoy. Don't get so scooped up in life. Like, don't go down that road. Like, don't be so serious.
Maybe materialistic stuff where you start to worry too much and then you're forced to take a shitty job because you need to buy your kicks, your house, your
Right, but you
vehicle.
take that as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't have to determine your whole reality.
Right.
That's just a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but still start working towards it. And if you don't know, make it your mission to find out.
Yeah. Good. I will say this. I don't know if we were on camera or off, but you said that you didn't want to be part of your kid's life at first because you didn't think you were worth it.
Well, it wasn't that. It was.
Or they would be better without you. Was your mindset?
Yeah. I absolutely wanted to be a part of their lives at all times.
Yeah. I can tell you this. As a man who grew up without a father, at 4 years old, he passed away. I would say this to any parent. I don't care if you're in jail. I don't care if you're a drug addict. I don't care if you're the worst piece of shit in the world to you. Your kid wants you to be their parent. So I'll leave it at that. Anyways, guys, do us a favor. Fit Club Media, we're on YouTube. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our videos there.
Give this video a share, please.
Give this video on Facebook a like, a comment, and share as well. Anyways, Richard, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to dance it out, buddy. We're almost done.
Yeah.
That was awesome, man.